A bright June evening. A 18-year-old girl named Kelsey Smith walks into a Target in Kansas to buy a gift for her boyfriend. Minutes later, she vanishes. Surveillance shows her walking through the parking lot, followed by a man in a white shirt. Then nothing. Within hours, her family launches one of the most desperate searches the Midwest has ever seen. Police find her car abandoned, purse inside, engine still warm. What they uncover next would expose a predator who stalked strangers for pleasure and later told detectives he did it because of her legs. This is not just a murder story. It's a haunting look at how one ordinary moment can become the darkest headline in America. It began like every other Friday night in the suburbs. June 2nd, 2007, the first weekend of summer break, 18-year-old Kelsey Smith left her home in Overland Park, Kansas, to pick up a gift for her boyfriend. She told her mom she'd be right back. She never returned at 6:40 p.m. Target security footage shows Kelsey browsing, texting, smiling, completely unaware that a predator had already chosen her. A man in a white shirt loitered near the electronics aisle. He wasn't shopping, he was watching. When Kelsey walked to the parking lot, he followed. The camera captured his reflection in a car window, a ghostly blur. A hunter closing in. Minutes later, Kelsey's car was found abandoned just across the street. Her purse, wallet, and cell phone were inside. The engine was still running. It was as if she had simply evaporated. Her parents arrived before police finished taping off the scene. Her father shouted her name until his voice cracked. Neighbors gathered in silence. Nobody saw anything. The investigation began instantly. Dozens of volunteers scoured nearby woods and fields. Helicopters circled the area. Within 12 hours, the case hit every major news outlet in Kansas City. But one question haunted everyone. Where was Kelsey? Detectives pored over every second of surveillance footage. In one frame, a man's shoulder brushed past Kelsey's car door. In the next, her shadow disappeared. It took only 3 days for authorities to name a suspect, Edwin Hall, a 26-year-old stranger with no known connection to Kelsey. He claimed he'd been driving by. He said it was a coincidence. But when police searched his car, what they found would turn a missing persons case into something far darker. When detectives ran the plates on the car seen near Kelsey's abduction, the name Edwin Roy Hall came up, a 26-year-old husband and father living less than 20 minutes away. His record was clean. No priors, no arrests, just a quiet face on a driver's license. But underneath that face was rage. Neighbors later said Hall was always watching. He spent long nights sitting in his truck, parked with the engine off. Sometimes he drove aimlessly through shopping centers, waiting, hunting. Detectives discovered he'd been circling the Target parking lot for nearly an hour before Kelsey arrived. He wasn't there by accident. He was looking for a victim. When police searched Hall's home, they found duct tape, gloves, and rope in his trunk. DNA recovered from his car matched Kelsey's. The evidence was undeniable, but the confession made everything worse. Hall told investigators that he had seen Kelsey walking through the lot, and that he did it because of her legs. Those words froze the entire interrogation room. A crime so casual, explained with something so shallow. Hall said he didn't plan it. He just saw her and couldn't stop himself. Detectives noted his calm demeanor. No remorse, no tears, just a man describing a moment of impulse like buying a cup of coffee. But behind that indifference was obsession. Further investigation revealed that Hall had been frequenting local stores for weeks. Recording women on his phone, he was methodical, patient, and when he spotted Kelsey Smith that night, he decided she wouldn't go home by the time he confessed. Her family already knew the outcome they feared most. They had found her miles away, near a riverbank, covered by brush, the same river she once took photos beside as a teenager. The discovery of Kelsey's body changed everything. The community that once searched together now stood still, frozen between heartbreak and fury. Detectives traced her final moments using cell tower pings from her phone. Each signal painted a breadcrumb trail across the map, leading from the Target parking lot to a desolate riverbank 20 miles away. The data didn't lie, and it led straight to Edwin Hall. When officers confronted him again, Hall's demeanor cracked. Gone was the calm, collected mask. He began pacing, sweating, rambling about voices and temptation. But even as he mumbled, his details were exact. He described where he left her, how he hid the evidence, and where he tossed her belongings. Within hours, police recovered Kelsey's purse, clothes, and her cell phone, all exactly where Hall said they'd be. There was no doubt anymore for prosecutors. It wasn't just about proving guilt, it was about showing intent that Hall had stalked, abducted, and murdered Kelsey Smith for pleasure. The courtroom was packed when the trial began. Kelsey's parents sat in the front row, hands clenched so tightly their knuckles turned white. Reporters filled every seat. Hall walked in, wearing a prison jumpsuit. His face blank, he didn't look at the family once. The jury heard everything, the surveillance tapes, the cell data, the DNA evidence. When the prosecutor repeated Hall's confession, "I did it because of her legs," the entire courtroom went silent. No one breathed. By the end of the trial, even Hall's defense attorney stopped arguing for mercy. It took the jury just 2 hours to decide. Guilty on all counts, Kelsey's mother wept into her hands. Her father whispered, "We found her. Now she can rest." But the silence that followed wasn't peace. It was exhaustion. Justice came, but healing would take years. The end of the trial wasn't the end of Kelsey Smith's story. Her parents refused to let her death be reduced to another statistic. In the months after Hall's conviction, they met with lawmakers, police chiefs, and emergency response leaders across the country. Their mission was simple: make sure no other family would ever have to wait to find their missing child. Because when Kelsey first vanished, police needed a warrant to access her cell phone location. Those first crucial hours were wasted. If they had known her location sooner, they might have saved her. Her father said, "Every minute counts." Every minute could be the difference between life and death. So they fought for a new law, one that would allow phone companies to immediately share a missing person's location with authorities. No waiting, no paperwork, no wasted time. By 2008, the Kelsey Smith Act was passed in Kansas. It quickly spread to other states, Oklahoma, Minnesota, Texas, and beyond. Each new signing ceremony was emotional. Kelsey's parents stood beside governors, holding a framed photo of their daughter, her smile now a symbol of protection. This law has since helped locate countless people, not just the missing, But those in danger, lost, or abducted, her parents turned grief into a lifeline for others. Even years later, they still visit schools, churches, and police academies, telling Kelsey's story to anyone who will listen. Her father often ends with the same line: "You don't move on, you move forward, and you make sure your child's name means something." Kelsey's name now stands for action, speed, and hope, a law born from tragedy that continues to save lives. And every time it does, her story lives on. Years later, Kelsey Smith's name would still surface, not in case files, but in algorithms. Clips of her stories circulate on TikTok, YouTube, and Reddit, stitched into compilations of cases that changed everything. And yet, most viewers have no idea they're watching the legacy of a real law, a law built from a father's heartbreak. Each retelling sparks something new: outrage, sadness, fascination. But behind the millions of views are parents who still visit her grave every week. A digital afterlife doesn't replace a real one. For many online, Kelsey's story represents the rise of true crime awareness, the idea that learning from horror might save someone else. Creators replay her final moments not for entertainment, but to remind people how quickly life can change. But the internet also distorts. Conspiracy threads appear. Comments debate her final minutes like she's a character in a film. Some even question whether her death was avoidable, missing the point entirely. Kelsey's mother once said in an interview, "Every time her story goes viral, I just hope someone watching will act faster next time." That's the balance between empathy and spectacle. The tragedy that began in a Target parking lot is now a digital warning to millions of strangers. It teaches vigilance, awareness, and the painful reality that monsters rarely look like monsters. And somewhere, beneath the noise of hashtags and thumbnails, her story still whispers, "Be aware, be safe, and never assume daylight means safety." For a girl who never made it home from a simple shopping trip, her legacy now travels at the speed of Wi-Fi, reminding the world that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that truly happened. Every story like Kelsey's leaves behind two timelines, the one that ended and the one that never got to begin. For her parents, life became a quiet balancing act between grief and purpose. They still live in the same town where Kelsey was taken. The Target sign still glows red at night, an unintentional memorial to the last place she was seen alive. Her room remains untouched. Posters still on the wall, her graduation tassel still hangs from the mirror. Time stopped, but love didn't. The Kelsey Smith Foundation now works directly with law enforcement agencies across America. They train officers, advise emergency teams, and remind them what those first few hours mean. Because in Kelsey's case, minutes mattered more than evidence. Her story became a moral compass for both parents and police, a reminder that technology and compassion must work together when someone disappears. And yet every anniversary brings both sorrow and strength. At the annual candlelight vigil, people hold their phones up instead of candles, screens glowing like digital flames, lighting the faces of those who still remember. Her father often speaks softly into the microphone, saying, "Our daughter's gone. But if her story saved one more life, she's still here." Silence follows, then applause, quiet, respectful, and heavy, because some stories never really end. They echo through new laws, through every saved life, and through every parent who refuses to stop searching. Kelsey's light didn't go out that day. It just changed form from a bright Kansas sunset to a signal, a law, and a legacy that still saves strangers in the dark. If you thought the horror ended here, you're wrong. What other dark rituals and forbidden practices are still being performed in secret? Dive deeper into the chilling world of haunted ceremonies, banned footage, and eerie folklore that refuses to stay buried. Click on the playlist to uncover terrifying recordings, lost evidence, and disturbing stories they never wanted you to see. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for weekly uploads of spine-tingling footage and dark tales that echo from the shadows. This is the Forbidden's Archive, where the hidden truth and haunting evidence come to life.